Pasha Pavo, YNet7. Welcome. Today we talking about beyond the curve, the isolation of being years ahead. Now, what does it mean to be years ahead? Right? Innovation, knowledge, wisdom, power, self knowledge, self skills, experience. A lot of relationships, there's a gap there. There's a gap there. So there's different levels of understanding and awareness. There's a gap in peer group numbers. There's a gap in the amount of true role models or mentors you may have access to when you're years ahead. When you're years ahead, there's a lot more perceived differences and misunderstandings. Everybody's looking to be a star. And when they have a reason to hate on you, it's for some reason they exploit that more than when they had a reason to love you. Right? Or to show love. A lot of people, you don't hear from them when things are all love. Actually, you might be hearing from them when things are still love, but they had to perceive it as hate to fuel the conversation. So different levels of understanding and awareness. See, when you're years ahead, right? You got different terms and views of knowledge, of wisdom. So there's a gap there between a lot of people around you. They don't comprehend. Their emotions allow them to be easily controlled and manipulated. Makes easy fishing. And the gap may make it challenging for others to relate to you. So they won't talk to you about it. They'll go and talk to the people in their circles that make them feel comfortable. It's easier not to go outside the comfort zone, right? Because they're afraid of the unknown. They see the corner, they see the curve, but they can't see beyond the curve. So when they can't see beyond the curve, it's easier for them just to sit on the side of the road. They're not ready to grasp a full perspective. They enjoy concise. See, because like we did here on the channel, the etymology of the word concise for you at 720 on 7.3. The etymology of the word concise means partially blocked, incomplete, fragmented view. A clear view would be unobstructed, like we're looking at this here. There wouldn't be half a mountain blocking your vision of the road and what comes next. No, a clear view, you would be able to see the complete view. But concise means partially blocked, fragmented, not whole, incomplete. And what happens is people who enjoy the barrier of different levels of understanding and awareness actually enjoy the incompleteness and knowing. They don't want to know. They only want to believe. And they only want to believe enough of what excites them the most, because everything is a drug. The only real question is, what drug are you on? Because that's what's going to determine where you find difficulty and where you find joy. See, like your limited peer group, you have a limited number of individuals who can truly relate to your experience and challenges, who can truly get you. It's quite easy for people to feel like people understand them and comprehend, be tricked into the belief that they have people on their side. But in reality, they're only addicted to a certain energy, a certain vibration, a certain frequency of that experience you'll share. Right? Like, you've all had that person that sits around in your life. They don't say nothing, but like we talked about a moment ago, they're, as soon as they feel like there's something negative to say, they give 1,010%. And the reality is, it may not even truly be something negative, but their projection issues, their perspective manipulation issues, causes them to see an opportunity that their addiction to hate forces them to feel like they should take advantage of. We must heal our communities. We must heal our communities. But in order to heal, we must understand what the tort is, what the injury is. So we don't be weaponized because you can't see beyond the curve. See? So it's challenging when you're years ahead to find peers who are at a similar level of expertise. Like, you might be the next Mozart, the next Van Gogh, the next Beethoven, Bach. But if you stuck around peers who believe there's something wrong with you, you're never going to feel that greatness in that environment. So the people who have the limited peer group, who feel like they've been waiting for the moment to attack you because you are Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Gandhi, Malcolm X, Michael Luther King. They've been waiting for the moment to expose you. But what is exposure? It's actually only a representation of their view of you, their belief of you, from their limited peer group state with limited expertise, who don't know what it is to be a Beethoven, a Bach, a Mussolini, a Hitler, Osama, right? They don't know what it is to be that before you become, because there's never been a you in their experience before. All they know to do is how to say you could convert to what they believe in, their religion. They want to convert you. That's what religious people do. Because they have limitations in their beliefs. And limited peer groups can contribute to this sense of isolation. And as we're going through this, we're going to be looking at it from the state of not only personal relationships, but also business. So you have a lack of role models and mentors to look up to beyond the curve. Because anytime you see something beyond the curve or coming from the isolation of being years ahead, it's easier for you to feel like there's something wrong with it, attack it, because obviously it must be um, because the truth is unpopular, the truth is uncommon. And most people are addicted to popularity. They will wait for the moment to feel like in their mind they're destroying you. Look at the artists. Look at what the diss songs that just came out. These people were probably just hanging out the 2 months ago. But because of attention and numbers and ratings and maybe a dollar being made, a fiat currency, and an ounce more popularity, all of a sudden there's so much negative. All of this stuff is so negative all of a sudden. Right? So when you have people beyond the curve, beyond the curve of your belief, out in the isolation, the wilderness of truth and beyond, is it easy to accept them as your mentor? Could it be that's why so many lash out and attack? Because of their fear that they could be getting what's around the corner too soon for their comfort. Like when it's Friday and you gotta work on Monday, remember that? And Friday at 5:05 when you're coming home in traffic, you're like, man, I got the whole weekend. Right? But by Sunday evening, Saturday evening, you start to have the anxiety come in, like, damn, I only got like 12 more hours left. You start fiending, right? Like you get that itch, you be scratching, like, damn, I got 12 hours. I gotta do this, I gotta relax, I gotta do this, I gotta relax, I gotta do this, I gotta relax. Because the corner, the unknown of Monday, the curve is coming. And right now you're in that safe spot of where you want to be. You don't really want to go around the curve. So anything around that curve, you don't want to think about right now. Anything around that curve right now, you don't want to talk about right now. Don't talk to me about work when I'm off. Well, that's what happens when you're doing something that you really don't enjoy doing, but you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You don't want to talk about it. You don't want to be about it. You don't want to live it vividly. You want to pick and choose when you can use, because you got limitations on your tools. See, you're not infinite. I want people to be infinite with me. I told you, I'm a man of equations, not the variables. That's why I'm unconditional. I should make a song called Unconditional. Right? I don't have to be different because I'm always. But when you have a lack of role models and mentors beyond the curve to take you into the isolation, to take you into the wilderness, you might just stay on reserve. Indian. in the end, right? Due to the perceived differences and misunderstandings that we quoted earlier, leading by example often means setting high standards and pushing boundaries. Oh, so we already know what happens when you set high standards for yourself, right? We already know what that looks like. Now, the person that was waiting for the moment to say, oh, look, something wrong with them is out there, got so much fuel for a fire because, you know, you're beyond the curve again. You're saying no when they expected you to say yes. You're saying yes when they expected you to say no because it's different. You're different. You're something different. You're more than they comprehend. This is why you hear me say I represent I am the omnipresence. When you reach a certain level of strength, you will appear to be the weakest. Because strength comes not in rigidity. See, that's what's wrong with a lot of the population. They believe they're strong and they don't see themselves as truly being fragile. The proper wording for it would be brittle. You want to be so strong. You think you're so strong, but you're brittle because there's no ability to give, to bend, to be flexible. This is why Bruce Lee's statement is foreign to you when he says things like be like water. You can't be like water and be your version of strong because water is malleable. Water is agile. You just brittle. So when you see true strength, you don't understand it because it didn't crumble. It didn't fall apart like you in the moment. It didn't lose its form in the panic. Or maybe it did lose its form in a panic, but differently than the way you did. Because the omnipresence becomes it. When you have a brittle metal that thinks it's strong, when it reaches tensile strength, it explodes, it crumbles. Think about people that be around you and they just, all of a sudden, they're just like, and that's why you always, and you ain't never been shit, and rah, rah, rah. And they've been waiting for that moment to just explode. They explode on it, right? Because the tensile strength got to them. See, a lot of people look at pressure as a pushing, a pressurized force this way, compressing. When you get into welding and metals and metallurgy and alchemy and stuff, you'll learn tensile strength is the pulling, right? The when does it give? When does it break this way? And you gotta make sure your weld is up to par so that you can pass your tensile strength test. See, because when you forming bonds in relationships, whether it's personal or in business, that fake shit is always going to test your tensile strength. Unless the whole clique is fake. Then that is the tensile strength. It becomes the bond. The fakeness becomes the bond. The hate becomes the bond. That's why they can go to the next person and talk shit about you. And it feels like they're forming a stronger connection over their hate for you. Over the talk shitting about you because you're beyond the curve of their understanding. So they have to celebrate in their connection and say that you're the one that's isolated, which is true, which is ironic because it's so true that, yeah, they're connected, you're isolated, but it's because you're beyond the curve and they're actually where you used to be. Now, the question is, how long ago did you used to be there? Was it yesterday? And they're just saying that you're acting different today because you're growing? Was it 10 years ago before they even knew you? And now they act like something's wrong with you because they don't realize the stuff that's new to them is ancient to you. So this can lead to others perceiving you as different and unrelatable, and you know what I mean? Gaslighting stuff comes up and all that good stuff. And misunderstandings, feelings, and exclusions, perceived differences, missed opportunities, right? That's what I think when I think of perceived differences, because it's a perception thing. There's levels to everything. Levels. Look at the building. There's levels to it. There's a hierarchy. Like the conscious chart. A lot of people are still operating in shame, atrophy, guilt. Like people don't understand. Go look at the channel under the vibes, life vibe section. Back a couple years ago, I did the whole section by section on Power versus Force, the book. Grief is the emotion which brews blame. So whenever you hear someone blaming somebody for something, you gotta understand they coming from the emotion of grief. They operate in an emotion of grief. They're in pain. They're in trauma. They're in grief. And they don't know it. So because they're in grief and they're not mature enough to address it, mature meaning maybe they don't even know. They haven't reached the understanding of their own self or of the laws of emotion that's beyond the curve for them. See, the truth is isolated from them. All they have is their beliefs. So their belief is, like I said in my song Gaslighting, that people either love or hate. The belief is there must be something wrong with you. Because that's easier for them to accept. They don't want to consider the complexity or depth of the different levels in terms of their height or distance apart, and understanding in terms of breadth. When you talk to certain people like me, they'll tell you I have a wide T with many different verticals of various depths. What does that mean? That's the way somebody could say a jack of all trades, master of none when they talking shit about you, but in reality, they don't even know the full quote. They don't even know the full saying. I catch people with this all the time because some people say, oh, they'll be like, oh, you do a lot. And I'll be like, yeah, jack of all trades, master. Yeah. And I'll be like, do you know the full quote? And they'd be like, no, that's what there's more to it. Yeah, there's more to it. Jack of all trades, master of none, oftentimes better than master of none, or one, excuse me. Because if you only know one thing, I mean, you might be good, you might be the best, but you only know one thing. Now, if you're a master at 4 things, you got 75% information and how to on 6 things. 12 other things, you can do 60% of everything there is to do. Now it's called diversifying. It's called a well-roundedness. See, it's like music. When you look at music, if all, like part of the reason why I get the people don't get the new ageness and the fact that I don't give a shit about structure the way they do, like, all the greats did at that time. Because you're breaking, you're forming new sounds, new experiences, while the world, certain parts of the world want you to conform to what has been for the last however long, like, right? They don't want you to create new, be the same, be right. So you get it. So you just gotta know there is existence beyond the curve. You got to know there's something beyond the curve, something that you may not know is there right now, what it is, but it's there. And you just got to be willing to explore and at least be yourself. Because Levels and understanding are processes of building. And so you're talking to someone who looks at themselves in both my successes, as you would, the common use of success, where you feel like it's an achievement that was on the positive side, even though the word success means any result. So all of my successes, even what you would think is negative or not an achievement, is still a success to me. It's still process of building. And that's why collectively I'm a nation builder. I'm a master builder. I don't know what you are. I mean, you can let me know. I can tell you how I can help you be a better whatever you want to be. Or just allow your being to help us arrive at the destination collectively of the nation. I'm Pasha. So it's a process of building on what is already known. See, that's why you're looking at the curve and you're uncomfortable with it. And you're either going to take what you have learned up until this point and know how to handle that curve. If you were on the motorcycle Kawasaki 1000 GSRW.com 500, right? You're going to take and you're going to know that you want to turn right but steer left and lean and all this little stuff. And when you take that corner doing 70 miles an hour, looking at the way it does, or you're going to know that maybe you shouldn't take that corner doing 70 miles an hour, looking the way it does, because you know what? Sometimes other cars are coming in the opposite direction and they don't always stay 100% in the line, and you to take that corner would need this much space, and it may cause an opportunity for there to be an infraction of inertia. But it's based on your understanding of what is already known, how you handle that corner. Now somebody else might say, you know what, there's a bunch of these roads and this road has a bunch of these corners and does this, that, and the other, and you can only go 60 miles an hour in this section, and then most of it's 35 miles an hour. You know what? The way I'm gonna handle this is we're gonna take the chopper, and instead of taking 4 hours to go through the mountain pass, Oregon Trail, we're gonna just fly over it. So then the people seeing you just fly over, like, yeah, he don't even understand, what I'm going through down here. Right now they can talk that shit about you. They can perceive their hate and perceive that it's you that have the ignorance, because you're years ahead. You're beyond that curve already. You know there's much more twists, winds, boulders that fell off the top of the cliff, gravel that's going to make you lose grip on the road and cause hazards. Sometimes the road is blocked. They already know that, so we took the chopper. And then we're able to add more bricks to the structure based on what we know. So, levels, stages of difficulty. Levels come with stages of difficulty. It's one thing to get like we're talking about this corner here. We're talking about the perception of the one that's coming down on the Kawasaki's, right? I don't know. Put your favorite bike in the chat. Let's chat it up real quick on your way to wherever you're going. You're just hopping out the shower, whatever you're doing, getting ready for the grind. You see the sun peeking through the trees there. Let's talk about it. So what it would take for some people to do that is some people gonna go get their driver's license. Some people gonna be coming through there on a Corvette C8 or whatever. Some people gonna be coming through here on a Skyline. Some people gonna be coming through there on a Eclipse. Fast and Furious. That requires a certain level of skills. You're on four wheels. You got a driver's license, probably, some of you. Some people are going to say, like me, you don't need a license. That's another set of skills that doesn't have anything to do with your ability to manipulate or power slide the corner when you pull the handbrake and drift and all this stuff if your car is set up properly, right? That's a separate set of skills. It's a separate set of knowledge you need to have before this corner to properly handle this corner the way that you see as perfect based on your perception. And no matter what your skill set is, and you go out there and you shine on a corner like that, and when you do what you do, the wrong mentality is always going to say that someone who does it differently has a problem. The grandma that just comes through there and does 35 miles an hour and just turns and she's doing her thing, you're going to be frustrated with her if she happened to be there at the time you wanted to do that power slide 65, 90 miles an hour around it, right? You want to see something wrong with her in the moment. Not realizing that her vision is blurred, her cataracts kicked in, her glucose is whatever, and she's driving by herself, doing what's right for her safety to ensure that she reaches the destination, because her car hasn't had wheel alignment in 2 years. The economy's fucked up. Her grandkids haven't come seen her in 5 years because she spent her whole life pushing them away, and now she's alone, remembering opportunities. And when she see the curve, she see a way to end it all. But she's fighting to stay on the road, while you're wishing she would just get out the way. Levels, there's levels, difficulty, stages. And then you got to go through another set of levels to get your pilot license when you say, you know what, I'm done with the road, I'm going to fly. But it's easier for them to hop on a song, to hop on a mic, to hop on somewhere, to be on at the edge of the bar talking about you, because they don't understand the levels of difficulty and the stages that you've mastered beyond the curve of their perception and their perspective. The hierarchy of knowledge, the levels of ways of organizing information, they just know you do it differently and they will hate you for it because it's easier. Like when you fly over this set of roads here and they're on it looking up at you, they hate that you move in the way you move, but they don't say, damn, they put in 10,000 hours of flight school. Damn, each hour of flight school costs $450 versus my free driver's license to stay on the road. They don't say that, hey, he up there, so the risk of falling is far greater because I'm already on the ground. They don't look at what it took for you to be who you are, get to where you at. They just are addicted to the hate. They're addicted to the combat. They don't understand the sport. So levels and understanding can be seen as a process of growth and development, because if you haven't grown beyond the road, you'll never understand what it takes to remain in the sky. If all you know is 10 toes down, you can never fly, Eagle. This America. This America. So you want to stay 10 toes down, or you want to soar, bird? See, a bird don't even got 10 toes because the ground is that little of importance to them. Levels of understanding can be seen as a process of gradual development and growth. If you don't know what's beyond the curve, you will forever remain isolated to its truth. And it will forever, I will forever, people like me will forever appear to be years ahead because it causes you such a discomfort. But you see, the road is clear there. The curve is present. There is no obstacles preventing you from going around the curve and joining us. However, you have not moved yet. So you must realize the barriers lie within you. The barriers to the similar knowledge, to the similar skills, the similar experience, the barriers to you being able to soar over the mountain lie within you, because if one sees another able to do it, then it must be possible for the other one too. So what's stopping you other than your own hate, your own addictions, your own community, your own peer group, your own role models and mentors, your lack of understanding and desire for inclusion on that realm? So you have to recognize and acknowledge, each of us, what our addictions are in order to begin any recovery process, whether it's business or individual relationships. Self-awareness is going to be the first step, because denial is always the first stage. How you going to commit to change? See, what I want you to accept is this. One way or another, you are committing to change. You might feel like you're not changing, and you don't realize you not changing is the change, because in the proper way of how it was supposed to go in your life, you were supposed to be moving here in this direction, but instead you're deviating by standing still. You don't even realize you are changing the course of what would be history, because you're refusing to be who you are supposed to become, because you're afraid to go beyond the curve. Now, how many does that affect around you? Not only does it affect yourself from getting to, let's say, the sky level from the road, from the ground, 10 toes down to the eagle soar around, but now your perspective of life is different. So when you talk to the people around you who may or may not have even be around you still, if you were where you were supposed to be at, you might be looking at people like you hate them. They're toxic relationships for you. You can't understand why you keep going through these battles and conversations and fighting, and you can't even have a meal with your spouse without having an argument after work. But why are you still there? Because you enjoy the contest of the argument. You have that addiction. But like any codependency, it might be easier for you to blame them for you being in a relationship with them to maintain your addiction to arguing 4 to 7 days a week. But that's being committed to change, because otherwise you would break the addiction, because you would have a stronger commitment to a different change, or the proper change, or the change that's going to separate you from what you're calling toxicity. You would have a willingness to put in the necessary effort. You remain there by choice. Just like our society, we can't blame China for becoming a superpower that we were, because we didn't put in the energy, the effort, because we got comfortable, because we said Walmart is cheap and we stopped shopping with our neighbors. So now there is a recession and a depression and nobody has money to circulate in the communities. We can't blame China for that unless we are vibrating in the emotion of grief. Business and individual relationships, commit. The question is, what have you committed to? See, I commit to the truth. That's what people don't get about Pasha. I'm 100% committed to the truth. And the moment you are untrue, you're going to feel like I don't fuck with you. Then you're gonna be on your in your journal. You're gonna be with your girls. You're gonna be with your mans in them. You're gonna be on Facebook Live. You're gonna be in the studio displaying how easy it is for you to hate what you don't understand. Hi haters, hi haters, right? Because you don't understand that it's you that you're hating the reflection of in me. I go to the source. See, omnipresence detects all. It detects all. It knows what's existing, right? You got to understand your triggers. Glock, Baby Desert Eagle, AK, you got to understand your triggers because triggers play a significant role in addiction relapse, in business and regular relationships. What is the trigger? Identify the triggers such as negative feedback, toxic relationships, all individuals and business to develop strategy to avoid or effectively manage them. But in order to do that, guess what you're starting to do? You're starting to see beyond the curve. You're training yourself to perceive beyond the curve because now you're aware of the moment, but you're perceiving that, hey, I've been on this road before. And around this curve, that blind curve, is a place I don't want to be no more. And you alter your path. You might alter the road altogether. And she or he or the business, the job, the last client might be like, hey, why you don't come around this way no more? And it might simply be because you perceived beyond the curve. So build a support system. Help individuals on their recovery. Surround yourself with positive, like-minded individuals seeking the same destination. That's the way you can give each other true guidance. That's the way you can accept guidance from beyond the curve of what you don't know. Valuable support during challenging times, as if that's not the present with the economy rhymes. No, you think you got a couple dollars, but you don't even know the dollar ain't real. So what are you really doing? Because you ain't got nothing still. Who you think you're fooling? Stop being happy with that meal. Man, you ain't doing nothing. Who taught you? You don't even know how to kill. You're killing yourself, but let's keep it real, right? So, with that being said, overcome your addictions involves embracing the change. So if we go back to the levels, you have to accept that you're on a different level. And there's nothing wrong with that. So the person walking on the ground, the person driving on the car, the person flying by in the motorcycle, the person taking their bicycle, their moped, their skateboard down this hill, the one that's flying over the mountain in a helicopter, and whoever's sitting on the space shuttle with their little binoculars looking down at all of it. And then the Most High, the omnipresence itself. There's all different levels of perspective of that same curve on the road. And some people, you have to know, will never ever experience that because they are not on that road. They are not going to make it to that curve ever. So how can you describe it to them? And if it's a curve that they never are able to perceive, beyond a curve that they'll never get to, beyond a road, on a road that they'll never take, imagine how beyond the curve you sound to them. Imagine how isolated they feel when you talk to them about the truth you know of the experience of this winding journey that you're on called your life. through the ups and downs, the mountains and valleys, the lows and your heights. See, I'm addicted to building a nation. That's my birthright. But to do that, I have to understand your occupation and your hate, and I understand what you like, which might be why you're out there talking shit or doing all this other stuff instead of building with me. Because the same energy, we could have built something together. Right? But it was easier for you to do everything but A through Z. So we got to let go of the negative influences in addiction recovery. It's important to distance yourself from negative influence that can trigger relapse. You know that well. So when you wonder why Pasha not there, or that person that you used to, whatever, is no longer there, you got to understand the distance may be the healing. And you got to understand that you aren't ready to heal yet doesn't mean that they are still afraid of what's beyond the curve. See, they went into the light carrying. They went beyond the curve. See, they're ready to build. They're ready to build something new. They wanted something new. So they call Pasha. Because Pasha do mental health awareness and business and life coaching because he got that emotional intelligence, right? His songs might sound different that he produced because he understands on a different level beyond the curve of what you're used to. He might be isolated in a future that he is so proud of. He's preparing the discovery of works years from now by generations that may not even be here today to celebrate. Like Bach or Beethoven or Mozart or Picasso, who wasn't looked at as great in their time, but now, 1,000 years later, is world renowned. See, Pasha not worried about getting his songs off for $10 an album on Spotify. I'm an artist. See, business people worry about P&L, profit and loss. And then they're stuck to the addictions, the limitations of, hold on, what was it all? The limitations of the perceived differences and misunderstandings and what's right, how it should be, what you can be, can't be, who you really are. They're going to tell you. They are limited by a lack of role models and mentors who's telling them, keep it real, be 100, be 1,000. When you worry about P&L, you got to focus on this being in this box. You got to be authentic, not genuine. They don't want you to be genuine. Who wants genuine? Because genuine takes longer. It takes more of an investment. A limited peer group. Right? Because they're focused on a limited peer group, not the infinity of people in existence, present and future. So this is why people contact me as a critical solutions expert, because I don't put band-aids on stuff. We actually deal with the solution. It's not to say, hey, we did this, like we talked about the other day. It takes 6 years to do a 5-month project for some people, or they do in 5 weeks what should take 6 months. And either way, they wonder why it's inferior, raggedy, and falling apart, and never really showed its true potential, what it could be. And then it's easy to say, well, see, Pasha don't know what he's talking about. No, what happened was Pasha said, let's do this. You wanted to get Pasha out the circle because you wanted to be the face. You wanted to be seen as the one. You did a half-ass job, and then you're trying to say Pasha's idea was no good. No, no, no. Your rendering of the idea had failure mode effect analysis in it. But we got green belts and we got graphic design as well. So that's part of why I offer value. This is why people come to me and we do a $3,000 logo package while you're bragging on the internet in Alignable that you got someone to do it. You got a logo for $176. And your brand and relationships and community is going to suffer from the difference. But you were addicted. Your addiction was to low value, cheap, quick, instead of true. Right? In that example, all that's celebrated. And that's what you got to consider when you're looking at business, man. The benefit of being both years ahead and isolated like that is seen as a gift. You have a different perspective. You have a bird's eye view. You're part of the omnipresence. That's talent. It took years for you to become years ahead. Your isolation didn't happen overnight in many cases. It was gradual. There's value in things that take time. But who perceives the value? That was so difficult to achieve because it's so easy to say, oh, I got 10,000 people with me, because you don't. But it may look like you do because you work so hard to fit in and be accepted, until the moment, like we talked about, where they're ready to go launch and explode and talk shit about you because of their perceived differences of you, but you don't get that. So you bridging gaps with people instead of with the universe, instead of with God, instead of with the Most High. You got your bridges connected to things that aren't permanent. All they got to do is shift their position, and then they talking about you out here burning bridges because they moved. And then the ignorant people gonna be like, oh, he don't fuck with you. Yeah, he don't fuck with me. No, they shifted. They were true at least for a period of time, and then they started doing this bullshit. So they shifted over here. Now this alignment isn't there no more. But because like attracts like, all the people that's got the addiction of hate and all this other anti stuff, that energy's built up in them. They want to blame. They're suffering from grief. All that stuff. All this trauma. Now they get to celebrate because those groups of people will just accept that you burnt the bridge because you're not coming around instead of seeing a problem with them, the source of their conversation at that moment. And that's what happens in personal and business. You got to be aware, because your brand awareness needs to solve all these problems. And this is why people come to Pasha, because Pasha gets it and gets it done for them. Because you have to consider all of that. It involves introducing potential customers to your product and service, right? That's branding. You have to have a clear understanding what your brand represents. You might need to use social media to get this awareness out there. Providing valuable content for free. That's basically what marketing is. I mean, you paid to create it, but you're giving the awareness opportunity out to the world, to them, for free. They didn't actually pay to watch the Super Bowl. I mean, some people did, right? But the ones seeing the commercials, they might have paid their cable bill or whatever, but they didn't pay to say, hey, please include the Super Bowl advertisements. They didn't pay. That might be next. Super Bowl. Let me, hey, you know what, man? Let me call y'all up. I got a business proposition for you, because I don't like commercials and I don't be watching Super Bowl anyway. But I'm not saying I'm hating, but look, let's start charging people for commercials. No, there's opportunity there because people like to be the first ones to be able to tell you about what they seen and heard. So if they get to see it first, there's got to be some value there. Somebody's gonna pay, $5.99 a month to be able to see the commercial the week before it comes out. Let's get it. All right. But offering free resources such as guides, webinars like this YNet 7, I never really called it a podcast. I called it a knowledge channel, but whatever you want to, however you want to describe it, that align with your brand and your target audience. See, that's why some people either watch or they don't fit in with YNet 7 because they either are on their way to where we're going or they're not. They're either in alignment with the truth or they can't stand it. This is how you know you're partnering with relevant events and organizations, because this is how you remain in alignment. All right. This is why this stuff is so important for your brand. But if you don't focus on highlighting the problems of your product, service, or business or the moment, because you don't understand them, what's beyond the curve waiting for you completely, then you might remain stagnant. And we know consistency is key. So some of us have been consistently stagnant. Some of us are talking shit about people who we think are stagnant because we don't realize that they're consistently omnipresent, which means even though you see me in the same place, like I had people that sitting there, they'd be like, Pasha, you still sitting in the same, you don't even come outside, you ain't doing shit. What are you doing, man? You wasting your time. This, that. They don't realize I'm around the world. Why? Because their limited perception, their mentors, their group, their said you have to hop in a car and you have to go travel. You know what I mean? You got 10,000 rappers on their Instagram, with they chain up. I'm outside. Okay, good. That's good. You outside. You having recess. All right, we get that. I'm saying for the time it take you to fly, you could just go live. Omnipresence. Levels. What you don't understand, you at least get to the point where you don't hate what you don't understand. Because you might find out what love is. Pasha Paro, YNet 7. Thank you for tuning. All right, let's get this Wednesday popping. I know we got some meetings on the calendar. Let me know what you got going on for your day to day. I'm really gonna just try to connect with you a little bit more on after. I know I've been taking a hiatus, but you know what I'm saying, let's engage. Shout out to Mustak, right? With the Z comment. Okay. So matter of fact, let me see something here. Because you know what? Ain't nothing coincidence. And I happen to have my numerology book right here. What is Z? What is the letter Z? What is the letter Z? So Z holds all the qualities of H and Q, but is more spiritual. All right, so hold on. Let's look at what H and Q is. So H must be or must create and fulfill. See? So we talking about building into that next level, the bricks, right? The foundation of where you at now. Shout out to Mustak. Appreciate the Most High connection through you. So when you at that curve, let me put the curve up here for you. Hold on. All right, I see the message. I see the message. I see the rising. So H must create and fulfill. So you attract success and money, but will either be very wealthy or very poor because of your good judgment fails at times. Like we talked about how you navigate that corner. Sometimes you are the best Kawasaki rider, and sometimes you just hit the clutch at the wrong moment, or there's a little bit of slippage on the road that you weren't expecting, and you go down, right? So you're a lover of nature and do not need others for your happiness, which is perfect for this scene. Like we couldn't have planned that any better. Look, you're out in the nature, and you're the only. This is the only thing. It's like we're the only thing out there looking at this corner right now. It's you, me, and the sun, and the trees, and the mountains, and that cliff below. So it says H is a power letter sufficient unto itself. If negative, you're selfish. Oh, so that's what we getting at. Those people that doing all the hate talk, they couldn't wait to get on the radio interview and talk about you instead of their project, right? They selfish, but it still benefits you no matter what, right? So H at this peak acts as a gate to the path of life, a gate which can be either a barrier or opening. This is a time when the cosmic laws are working towards completion of karma. There is concern with financial or legal affairs and with the physical and material side of life. H has a health factor and can bring personal strain. If H is with an N, nervous strain and even illness are possible. So Q has more originality. So now we're moving up, right? You're breaking free from those limitations and you're becoming more genuine. All right. So Q is more genuine, original, has more originality than H and more intensity of feeling. You are a leader, you have a fine mind, and you like to talk. Yeah, right? We know what happens when people like to talk. It's like me. Look, it's an hour. I don't talk a lot, but when I do, I talk completely. I talk clearly. I give the full picture. And that drains a lot of people. They're not ready for it, right? Because it fatigues them. It's like, damn, what's around this corner? What's beyond the curve here? I feel this moment. We still going in this present, but they don't realize that the road of knowledge is infinite. So, that's why they don't have it. A relationship with unknown forces gives you secret strength and the air of mystery. Like I said, man, connect with the omnipresence, because then you're deep. You're deep at that point. You're deep in the waters above and below the firmament, right? So Q at a peak cycle grants mental vitality, intuitive power, and creative attainment. There is opportunity for outstanding leadership and distinction in your career. This is a good time for public activity and travel. Encourage others unselfishly. Q as a health factor indicates a period of strong health. Now, let's get to what Z was talking about. Mustak was talking about with Z. Put that back on here for you. And then we'll close out. So Z holds the qualities of H and Q, but it's more spiritual. See, this is new age. Man, thank you. See, because new age is the merger of mind, body, and spirit. See, so you have to have all of those that's why people were trapped. I ain't gonna say trapped, but yeah, that's why they trapped in hip hop. And then the lower vibration below hip hop is rap, right? So when you talking to, this is why I support rappers and I support hip hop, but I understand that they may not understand the level of my craft and where I'm at with it, because I'm a new age artist. Many people don't even know that new age is a genre. I'm not compared to Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac, all of those rappers and hip hop people. I am compared to zeitgeist, which is a movement, a new world order. Like you got, like they make music. They make music for what they make music for. They might be an activist on something, but I make activist music. This is why you see me taking losses like writing my own court cases that could have went to the Supreme Court level as a first impression to try and free the people of America. I'm not necessarily the one that's going to always be outside the door uh, screaming and talking loudly through a bullhorn to get my point across. We operate on different levels, right? So Z holds all the quality, but at the same time, we're all needed because there's levels. That's why I support the rappers. That's why I support the hip hop artists. And that's why I'm okay when they flip their wig and want to run off and hate on me or whatever they do, because they don't understand, right? So I get it. So H and Q, but it's more spiritual. You have aspiration and inspiration, hope and guidance. Since you are intuitive and perceptive, you understand human nature. You have power. You have the power to achieve. See, a lot of people, they stay in that spot beyond, and they fear beyond the curve because they don't have the power, right? You may not have your bike may not have the necessary horsepower to make it up the slope, to go around the corner. But diplomacy and discretion makes you a good mediator. So Z at its peak runs a zigzag course. Like, look at the, like we go back to this, it's kind of like a zigzag course, right? So Z at a peak cycle runs a zigzag course. In a cycle of hidden progress. Though there are setbacks, you are advancing to a higher level in this period. You see what I'm saying? Learn patience and its rewards. Z has a health factor, or as a health factor, gives control over illness. There may be a need to control others or to carry out secret missions in healing. And that's what y'all don't get about me. Not y'all, but them. They don't get this about us. You see what I'm saying? That's what's up, Mustak. See, it's always the perfect day. That in itself right there is a moment. Wow, that's a moment right there in hindsight that really shows kind of like what the whole conversation was about today. It was about not being afraid of what's beyond the curve. Like, somebody would have saw, I know there's people out there that would have saw Mustak's comment and it's just the letter Z. And it's like, what the hell is he talking about? Right? In the beginning, I didn't know either, but what I knew is that the Most High always communicates with me. So what we talk about, we have to use the bricks to build based on our current knowledge. So I know you hear me say often, I'm never actually talking to you. I'm always in conversation with the Most High through you. That's why I can appreciate you no matter what you're saying about me, no matter what you think about me, no matter what you think you're doing to me. It's really a communication to the Most High. I mean, through you from the Most High. The thing is, the Most High induces you, entitles you based on your own seduction and addictions. So that's why the people that hate on you are hating, because the Most High is actually using their hate to either promote you, broadcast what your mission and purpose is, because they're going to be out there talking about that, or to let you understand how the perception is of what this group of people think about you, just so you know. Sometimes it's not for you to change, it's just for you to get that mental awareness so that, oh, okay, that's not that something's wrong with you, but it helps you understand their trauma better and what they're stuck in the box that they're trapped in, the caged world that they experience, so that you can now help them better. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. So when the Z pops up, here we go to the book. The Z said, hey, check out H and Q. And next thing you know, we got a whole little mini lesson in the lesson that was actually saying part of the lesson, proving what the lesson was all about, because that's the lesson. Pasha Pavo, YNS7.